So welcome back, guys. Today we're gonna talk about the hernias. First of all, what is the hernia? Hernia is protrusion of peritoneum through an opening, usually at site of weakness. Contents may be at risk of incarceration, not reducible back into abdomen or pelvis, and strangulation may lead to ischemia and necrosis. These two important complications for hernia: strangulation and incarceration. Complicated hernia can be present with tenderness, erythema, or fever. So this is in general. We have types of hernia. The most important type of hernia is the indirect is inguinal hernia, which is itself have two types: direct and indirect inguinal hernia. The other type is femoral hernia, and the last one is diaphragmatic hernia. So we're gonna start about the diaphragmatic hernia. Diaphragmatic hernia is in abdominal structure. When the abdominal structure enters the thorax, may occur due to congenital defect of biliro-peritoneal membrane or from trauma. Commonly occur in the left side due to relative protection of right hemidiaphragm by liver. So the liver on the right side work as a defense, protecting the diaphragm, but in the left side there is no defense against the herniation. Commonly occur in the left side due to the relative protection of the right hemidiaphragm by liver, most commonly hiatal hernia, which stomach herniates upward through the esophageal hiatus of the diaphragm. So the hiatal hernia, that means the stomach enters the thoracic cavity. We have two types of the hiatus hernia. We have sliding hiatus hernia and paraesophageal hiatus hernia. Sliding hiatus hernia, that means the stomach itself sliding. We see the junction between the stomach here and the junction between the stomach and the esophagus. The junction sliding inside the thoracic cavity, and the esophagus go back. Here in the paraesophageal hiatus hernia, the esophagus no effect on the esophagus. See, esophagus, but the fundus of the stomach gets into the thoracic cavity. So in both hiatus hernia, the stomach enters the thoracic cavity, but in the sliding hiatus hernia, the esophagus go back, but the stomach also come in. Here in the paraesophageal hiatus hernia, the esophagus, there is no effect in the esophagus, but the stomach go into the thoracic cavity. So gastroesophageal junction is displaced upward at gastric cordia, slides into hiatus. Most common type associated with GERD, which is sliding associated with GERD. Here, GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease. Paraesophageal hiatus hernia, gastroesophageal junction usually normal, but gastric fundus protrude into the thorax. Let's go for the inguinal hernia. As we said in the previous video about the inguinal canal, here if the peritoneum and the bowel go through the inguinal canal, we call it indirect inguinal hernia. If it goes through the canal, we call it inguinal hernia. But if it's not going through the canal, if it directly penetrates the anterior abdominal wall through the Hasselbalch triangle, as we said before, there is the Hasselbalch triangle here. This is what we call it, Hasselbalch triangle. This triangle here from the posterior view, and this is from anterior view. Hasselbalch triangle, as we said before, is composed between the rectus abdominis, inferior gastric artery, and the medial portion of the inguinal ligament. So let's go back. Indirect inguinal hernia, as we said, is the most common one, and it goes through the inguinal canal, goes through the internal deep inguinal ring, then to external inguinal ring, and into the groin. Internal inguinal ring lateral to inferior epigastric vessel. As we said before, the deep inguinal ring is just lateral to the inferior epigastric vessel, caused by failure of process vaginalis to close, can form hydrocele, which is edema in the scrotum. May be noticed in the infants or discovered in adulthood, more common in male. Follow the pathway of testicular descent, covered all 3 layers of spermatic fascia. Here, as we say, it just goes through the deep inguinal ring and the superficial inguinal ring, and sometimes go down through the scrotum. The direct inguinal ring, it is herniation through the Hasselbalch triangle, bulge directly through the parietal peritoneum, medially to the inferior epigastric vessel, which is the key word to differentiate between direct and indirect hernia. If they said it is medially to the inferior epigastric vessel, so that means it is direct inguinal hernia. Bulge directly through the parietal peritoneum, medial to inferior epigastric vessel, but lateral to the rectus abdominis. Goes through the external superficial inguinal ring only, not deep. Covered by external spermatic fascia, usually occur in older women due to acquired weakness of transversalis fascia. The most 3 causes of hernia in adults is weakness. The first one, weakness in anterior abdominal wall or weakness in the fascia, and the second one is increase the abdominal pressure. We have a lot of causes to increase the abdominal pressure, as in elderly or in male elderly. The benign prostatic hyperplasia cause more straining when the person go for urination, so that increasing the internal abdominal pressure. Also, cough and chronic constipation also can cause the hernia. If there is someone who came to your office with a hernia, you should ask about these 3 things: the chronic cough, chronic constipation, and you should have to check the prostate for benign prostatic hyperplasia or carcinoma. You have to exclude that. So we have MDs don't lie, medical don't lie. Medical, medial to inferior epigastric, direct. Lateral, indirect, as we said before. Let's go for the femoral hernia. Femoral hernia in the femoral triangle, as we said before. The femoral triangle is between the inguinal ligament and sartorius muscle and adductor longus. We have 3 structure, as we said before, from medially to laterally, vein, artery, and the nerve, femoral nerve. The femoral nerve is just outside the femoral sheath. Also, we have the femoral ring. So the hernia goes through the femoral ring, protrudes below the inguinal ligament through the femoral canal, below and lateral to pubic tubercle. More common in female, but overall inguinal hernias are the most common. More likely to present with incarceration or strangulation, that's the inguinal hernia. So the 2 important complications for hernias mostly appear with the femoral hernia, but fortunately the femoral hernia is not common as the inguinal hernias.